or prophesied through anybody.
I think that the fulfillment of such prophecies is proof that God does exist. Why he did that? Well, that was to reveal himself.
Wait, how is that? How is that a response?
Yeah. So first, like, we can always dispute whether or not like that actually like those prophecies being fulfilled even like is good evidence that God exists. But right now, just do you have like justification that any of those prophecies are fulfilled?
Do I have justification? Yes.
Yeah. So let's analyze a particular prophecy. What is one prophecy you can put on the table?
Oh, great. So in Haggai 2, Malachi 3, and Daniel 9, I can share the specific verses. It says that the Lord would visit his temple, and that the anointed would destroy or atone for sin at the temple. And so that means that... Oh, sorry, I can use a different one because that's actually not very specific. Although I would argue that it is because the temple was destroyed in 70 AD. Would you like to investigate that one, or is that too vague?
I'm not clear what the prophecy there is.
The prophecy is that the anointed would come during the Second Temple period. That the Messiah would come, the Savior of the world. Sorry?
I'm not clear what that even means. What, that Jesus is
the
coming?
Messiah would... No, it doesn't say Jesus. It says the coming Jewish Savior. The coming Jewish Messiah would come, arrive, and be at his temple and atone for sin during the Second Temple period. That he gives the time frame in which the Savior of the world would come. It seems the bottom guy, is it Kissinger?
Yeah, that's right.
It seems you know what I'm talking about, or at least you...
Yeah, I understand that, but I wouldn't grant that prophecy was even made before the events of Jesus' life occurred. Like, what sort of evidence could you present for that?
So, let me just find the scholarly consensus on something, because I don't know it off the top of my head.
Wait, and the scholarly consensus, to be clear, is going to be that this specific thing was in the text before Jesus' life, or is it just going to be the text in general was like written, or there was some draft of it that was written before he was alive?
The draft that we have, the same text was written before Jesus walked the earth. Yes.
So the exact text you're saying, or
from what we have, yeah.
Okay.
Although if you're more so looking for a surviving manuscript, I wouldn't be able to go to the Book of Daniel, or Malachi, or Haggai. I don't think. I'd have to go somewhere else.
Wait. Why would I be?
Pardon?
Your mic cut out.
Oh, my bad. Okay. I'm saying, first of all, why would I care if it was surviving? But second of all, that seems like it would just make the claim you just made like way more difficult to sort of substantiate. If you're saying we don't even have the original manuscript, how would we know that it happened before Jesus' life?
Because we're able to date ancient documents even though we don't have the originals.
Okay, true. Good point.
So, but if you want the exact, like, if you want a surviving manuscript, we have what's called the Isaiah Scroll. And Christians believe it to be what's called the fifth gospel because it's so specific on who this Savior would be, this servant. And that predates Jesus' life by 200 years, roughly.
Does it make the same claim you're making about the prophecy stuff?
No. So we'd have to go... I'd have to find it. I'd have to come up with a different argument, share a different argument. If you wanted...
Wait. Just hold on. You're saying that this draft they have of the same book from 200 years before doesn't have the prophecy in it?
No, it does not.
Okay.
No, because it's different. It's because it's a different book. It's a different...
Oh, I thought you said it was Haggai or whatever.
No, it's Isaiah.
Oh, okay. Sure, yeah. Then, yeah, I'll just go back to the thing I was asking for, which was asking for the evidence that there's a version of the Haggai book that makes the prophecy claim before Jesus was alive.
I'm not studied on the arguments for the dating of Haggai. Although, if you give me a minute, I could quickly research some and share some evidence, but I'm not sure how that would help because I don't think you have counter arguments to that.
Well, yeah, I could tell you what I would say if you presented that evidence. I would just say, okay, maybe this is some strong evidence that's more expected under the hypothesis that, you know, Jesus is the Son of God. But, like, there's all this other stuff, including, like, my priors being way, way lower for theism, that would just say, like, okay, this evidence doesn't make that big of a difference, but...
Really? So if people are able to prophesy in advance that from a small nation would come a savior of the whole world. They were able to list his genealogy and from who he would descend, going many generations down, what town he would be born in, according to like what tribe, where he would live, that he would die, that he would rise from the dead, and that he would be God in the flesh.
Well, yeah, I don't grant like any of those. I mean, I grant
I'm not asking
those things, but
no, I know you don't, because you would be a Christian if you did. My question is that wouldn't give any evidence for there being some sort of divine intervention?
Is that what I said, or did I say it would give weak evidence?
No, because I thought you said it would make a difference.
Yeah,
I'm asking you.
It wouldn't
really?
bring my credence in theism over 0.5. It might make like a small sort of jump from like 0.00001 to like 0.001 or something, but.
And by what standard are you basing your number system off of? Your own subjective?
Yeah, that's right. It's my belief. So my credence of belief. So like
Okay.
how confident I am in one hypothesis or the other.
Interesting. So I guess I have to get to know you more to be able to share an argument that you might think is convincing, because I could talk to two totally different people, and one argument for God could be the most convincing thing, and for you could say, well, it doesn't even matter to me. So I could share like these prophecies, which I have in the past, and there have been agnostics I've talked to which are like, I think if this is true, and they said they would look into it, it would point to a higher power. But if you're just saying that it wouldn't change anything, it's really hard for me to know a standard that you're basing that off of other than just my opinion.
Yeah, wait, it is of course it's my opinion. It's my opinion about whether theism or atheism is true.
Right.
And also, again, I didn't say it would make no difference. I just said that it would make a difference, but it wouldn't weigh theism over atheism. Because it's like, imagine like I have this insane claim that this magician like did all this impossible stuff, like broke the laws of physics or whatever. And then I'm like, oh yeah, for confirmation that this actually happened, I have one person like a few years ago or something that said it was going to happen. It's like, okay, but still, like the stuff you're claiming is like, so I have such low priors on it being the case that this one piece of evidence isn't going to weigh it over 0.5, right? That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. You were the one who said you'd like to look into it, so yeah, I don't know what to say. Like,
but also, just to be clear, this is if I grant this. I'm not actually convinced that any of this is true, but
that's fine. Although I would just say you haven't looked into it, so that doesn't really mean much.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I think the guy.
But I've never heard anybody give like convincing reasons for all of the claims you would need to say there was a successful prophecy, like that the prophecy was made before the prophesied event took place, that the prophesied event took place, that the person doing the prophesied thing wasn't just reading the book and trying to match up with the prophecy. Like, you need to sort of prove all of those claims, and I've never heard anybody do that.
So something as little as Jesus being born in Bethlehem, that's written in Isaiah, so we can go there. I'm sorry, that he would be a descendant of Jesse and of David. We could start with something like that, and we have the genealogical records from Abraham to Jesus in two different sources.
Are those? I mean, I don't know if I would have high credence in those. I would need to have like other sort of historical evidence presented, or something that says like it's the consensus opinion that this genealogy is correct. And then even then, it would still be really weak evidence because, like you might say, well, if there's all these sort of strict requirements for what the Messiah is supposed to be like, then it sort of will filter out people that don't meet those requirements naturally. Like somebody who wasn't born in Bethlehem isn't gonna like pretend or do all this stuff to like prove that they're the Messiah, because you could just read the book and be like, well, that's not what it says.
Exactly.
So even then, it would be weak evidence.
What, that he was born in Bethlehem?
Yeah, that would be weak evidence. Yeah.
It would be. It wouldn't make a conclusive case that he's the Messiah. So in that sense, it's weak. But in the sense that this is a criteria, then that's a check that has to be made.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
but I'm saying it would barely make any difference in my sort of credence.
Right. So, and I'm not arguing off of one prophecy. That's why I said Messianic prophecy in general. That's why you put the hundreds of them together and you say, okay, this is providential. This is divine intervention, and it's inconceivable why this divine intervention would not be verifying the one who fulfilled it, since he is the one which was prophesied by this divine intervention. So, yeah, that's why you put all of them together.
Yeah, I mean, you could just say put all of them together, but like I'm not convinced on any individual one, so
okay,
I don't have anything put together.
So we can go to like the root of Jesse one, and maybe I can just show that what the standard you have is unrealistic. So
wait, what are you trying to show here? What is that supposed to mean?
So I said that the Messiah would descend from the root of Jesse, that he would be a descendant of a Jewish man named Jesse, who was the father of David.
Yeah, but what are you said something about like unrealistic. I'm trying to understand what you're trying to show there.
Yeah, so you said, I would need more sources than just two to be able to believe that, and I would need the scholarly consensus to be that they all agree with
that's not what I said. I said that I would either want some other evidence besides the Gospels, because the Gospels are riddled with false claims and stuff that I take to be like false. I would either want other independent historical confirmation, or I would want a consensus opinion or something like that.
What would be an independent source?
What do you mean? That's what I'm asking you for.
Yeah, what would that be? Jesus writing down, "I came from the root of Jesse"?
Wait, are you just saying that you can't provide other evidence for it?
No, I'm asking you a question and you're not answering.
I don't understand what your position is.
Okay, when you said you needed an independent source, name an example.
Yeah, so something could be like, well, we sort of have these other like census records or something that were taken by the government of whatever province he was in at the time or stuff like that.
Right. A census doesn't account for genealogy going that far back often. I don't know what you're responding to here. You're just saying like it would be impossible to provide other evidence for it. No, you are the one who's saying a census would help us figure this out, where I'm saying a census is totally irrelevant.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I don't know that much about censuses. Maybe some of them do look at genealogy.
Then why'd you bring it up if you don't know that much about census?
Because it was a potential example of something that could provide other confirmation of the genealogy.
Okay, well, fair enough. It doesn't.
Okay, cool. So what are you responding to? What are you trying to say there? Like, it doesn't, so what?
Okay, well, this all stemmed from you wanting an independent source. It seems like you've backtracked from that. Okay.
Wait, no, I didn't. Wait, no, I didn't backtrack. No. I'm asking you what you're trying to do when you say that I can't provide an example.
You did backtrack.
What did I backtrack on?
I asked you to give an example of what an independent source to you would be, and you said a census. And I told you a census doesn't deal with genealogy, and you said, okay, well, I don't know that much about censuses anyway. That's backtracking.
How is that backtracking? I didn't. Dude, I could just say I'm not.
A census doesn't do what you're saying it does. That's how it's a backtrack.
It could do that though. It could do that.
It doesn't. Share one.
Are you saying it can't? Are you saying censuses can't show genealogy?
Share evidence. Share evidence. You're the one who made the claim.
Evidence for what?
You understand?
For a census sharing a genealogy. Share the evidence.
Look, it could be true that it could, and then it's also not the case that it does, right?
Yes, but why does he believe that it does? Please share the evidence.
Because it's like logically possible.
Wait, I never said there's an actual census out there that does that. You just asked me for an example of something that could provide. Yeah. You asked me for an example of something that could provide an independent confirmation, right?
Sure. Why would a census be an example?
What do you mean by would?
How could a census be an example?
Yeah, so it could be an example. It could be an example if it provided genealogical data or some form of genealogy.
And I'm claiming censuses do not do that we have evidence of.
What are you responding to there?
You gave an example of an independent source, and I'm saying the independent source you cited is totally irrelevant. It's not. It doesn't help your case.
Wait, what case do you think I'm going to make?
I'm confused right now.
How? I asked for I asked for an example. I asked for an example of an independent source.
Yeah, listen. So what happened was you asked for something that could provide independent confirmation.
Yes.
I said a census could provide independent confirmation. You said, well, no censuses do that. No censuses do that. Yeah, whatever. Okay, so what? What is that responding to?
So that's not an example, because that's like saying, give me evidence that Jesus was prophesied before he existed. Well, it's in the Quran. Well, the Quran isn't before Jesus existed. It's totally irrelevant. You're listing a wrong type of document for what an example would be. A census is not going to help. It's totally irrelevant.
Wait, I never said a census will do that. I just said it could do that.
I said give an example of an independent source.
Do you think? Are you just asking me to provide an independent source that confirms the genealogy of Jesus, or
No, sir.
Okay, so
I'm
what are you asking me then?
Sure. My original claim was that Jesus descends from the root of David, the root of Jesse. That is, he's a descendant of Jesse, and we have two sources that give evidence for that. And you said I'm casting doubt on those two sources. I would need an independent source. So now my question was, what do you mean by independent source? And give an example of an independent source.
I don't have an independent source. If I had an independent source, then I wouldn't be asking for one.
Okay, so you can't give an example. Okay, that's originally what you could have just said.
Yeah, that's right. I can't provide an example of something I don't have.
Okay,
Why would I have an independent source?
Okay, then don't say census next time. Okay, no problem.
Wait, no, because I thought I was mistaken, I guess. I thought the question you were asking me was provide an example of something that could be an independent confirmation. But you said now it sounds like you're asking for something that is independent confirmation. I don't know of such a thing, and I don't know why you would be asking me that in the first place.
You were right with the first thing. I was asking an example of what would be an example of an independent source, and you said a census, and that's totally irrelevant. But I think we're getting caught up on semantics here.
Wait, that didn't actually clarify which one of the questions you were asking.
Your first point. I'm not asking for you to give an independent source on Jesus being. But when you said you wanted an independent source, I said, okay, what do you mean by that? And you couldn't give an answer. And then I said,
First of all, you didn't ask me that.
I did.
You didn't ask what do you mean by independent source.
Yes, I did.
Okay, well then I can answer that now. Okay, fine. Maybe I didn't. I can answer that now.
Okay.
An independent source would just be anything that's not one of the Gospels, or from one of the apostles, or from after Jesus was alive.
That's your definition of an independent source? Anything that's not a gospel?
Anything that's not from the apostles or the Gospels, or stuff that's in the Bible, right? Anything that's not in the Bible.
Is anything that's not an apostle. That's your definition of an independent source?
Did you hear the rest of what I said?
I did, the first time.
Okay, so what did I say then?
Well, that's why I interrupted.
Okay, well, what I was saying, I'll just repeat it because you didn't hear it, I guess. Okay. I said an independent source would be something that's not from the Bible, right? So it's not going to be from one of the epistles. It's not going to be an apostle saying something. It's not going to be from the Gospels.
That doesn't answer my question.
How does that not answer what an independent source is?
You're telling me what an independent source is not. I'm asking you to define what an independent source is for the sixth time.
I'm saying an independent source is a source that supports the claim that's not one of those things. How is that not telling you what it is?
That is not the definition of an independent source. I'll give you the definition of an independent source.
Wait. What are you saying? My definition is not what I'm asking for?
Your definition of independent source is not the definition of what an independent source for anything is.
No, his definition is a good one for specifically regarding these issues.
I don't think so.
It's exactly correct. Anything that's not connected to those individuals would be quote-unquote independent of those individuals. I'm not even
interested in disputing whether my definition is useful or whatever.
Luke is an independent source.
Luke is not an independent source. Luke is attached to those people. No, Luke is using those people as sources, like specifically apostles
not
and people connected to Jesus.
Not in his genealogy. No.
You would have to.
Wait, Luke is one of the Gospels, though.
Yes, he's still a separate source. His genealogy is not dependent on Matthew.
Okay, let's get back on track. So You asked what I meant by independent source. I clarified what I meant by independent source. Now it seemed like you had some other question that you were asking, but over and over I asked what you meant and you wouldn't clarify. So were you asking me for an example of something that could be an independent source or something that is an independent source?
I think we just as you kind of put the other conversation to bed about Luke and whatnot, I say we put that to bed and we continue on the fact that we have two sources that share that Jesus was descended from Jesse. Now, what's your skepticism over that?
Well, yeah, I mean, the skepticism is those accounts are unreliable because they state other things that I have a very low credence in, like supernatural events, Christian theological stuff happening. They say Jesus performed miracles, blah, blah, blah.
How could I show so if for any of these claims, would an independent source help?
Why do you think I asked for one?
Okay, great. So we have a guy named Celsus. You can look him up. He's a Roman, and he said that Jesus performed magic works. He is hostile to Christianity. He says some very horrible things about the Christian faith.
Wait. I thought you were providing an independent source for the genealogy stuff.
Okay. Well, you're saying that the gospel documents are unreliable because they report supernatural occurrences. And I'm saying, okay, well, the same standard you're using to discount the genealogy, I'll give you an independent source for the supernatural works, which means you shouldn't be just throwing out a document because it makes these claims.
Wait, how does that follow?
You asked for an independent source for the genealogies. Okay. You're saying I don't trust the Gospels anyway because they make these claims about supernatural events.
Yep.
So you're asking for an independent source, and that would help. You're saying it would be some evidence that there's a line of from Jesse to Jesus. If I was to give you, and then you said, well, I probably wouldn't trust it anyway because the Bible makes erroneous claims. It has a whole lot of mistakes. And then you gave examples like it reports on the supernatural and it says Jesus performed miracles.
Wait, I was saying that's why I don't take the Gospels to be a reliable account or any of the books in the Bible that say that stuff.
Right, and I'm pushing back on that.
Okay, so you're saying I do take them to be reliable?
No, I'm saying that your standard for them being unreliable, according to what you want, is a double standard. I can give you an independent source of Jesus performing miracles. And yet that's what you're looking for.
What do you mean by double standard? What do you mean by double standard there?
Right. You said, and I'll explain one more time. You said an independent source for the genealogies is evidence that it happened. Okay? Then your claim was, and because as a Christian, we don't have, okay, so long story short, we don't have any other, to my knowledge, any other document that traces from Abraham to Jesus outside of Matthew and Luke. But you're saying I can't trust those two books because, and that's where I'm pushing back, that you can't trust them, because they report on supernatural events like Jesus performing miracles. But we have independent sources on Jesus performing miracles. So I don't think you should.
I don't know why you think Celsus is an independent source that he did. So the time in which Celsus is writing and what he's referring to isn't a source that there were miracles performed.
Yes, there was. Yes, it is. Of course it is.
No, it can't be because he's writing way later.
That's still a source.
So
it's still an independent source.
What source is he using?
We don't know. He doesn't tell us.
Like, give me the quote you're referring to.
So he says that Jesus works magic. He went to Egypt to learn
What work are you talking about?
So Origen responds to him, so it's against Celsus.
So it's not the actual Celsus's work. You're referring to Origen's work.
It's not Origen, and it's Origen, and we don't have Celsus's remaining work. So of which we know.
Pronounce it differently. I know who you're talking about.
So yes, we have to rely on what we have available of Celsus. Yes.
Okay, wait. Okay, so back to what you were saying. So you said I have a double standard. What do you mean by double standard there?
I explained it, but if it's fine.
No, you explained some other stuff, but you didn't give me a definition of double standard.
So now you want a definition, or do you want do you want why you're implying the double standard?
I'm asking you for what you mean, so a definition.
Okay.
Just so you know, in the Greek, there's no soft G.
Translated into English, we would say origin. Double standard, a set of standards that apply differently and usually more harshly to one group of circumstances than to another.
Okay, so what's the relevance of saying I have a double standard then?
Yes, so so you were saying that it's evidence for the genealogies if there's an independent source. Okay, so that's the one side of it. The second side of it is I can't trust the Bible, which is where we get these genealogies from, which is related to the first argument. I can't trust the Bible because it reports on miracles, even though these miracles we have an independent second source. So therefore, by your own standard, the Bible is not unreliable. Or at least it gives evidence.
No. That doesn't follow. The independent source would give evidence that it is reliable, but it doesn't follow that it actually is reliable.
I did correct my statement. At least it gives evidence that it's not reliable. Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so now what is this responding to in the original context of the conversation? Because you were trying to convince me that the genealogy stuff is correct.
Right.
I said I would need this other kind of evidence. So, have you provided that evidence, or what's going on?
Sure. So because it gives evidence that the Bible is not unreliable, we can trust, and my ultimate claim is that we can trust Matthew and Mark. These are two sources on genealogies, and they don't seem to derive from each other. They're different. Very different, yet they both trace from the same person to Jesus. Okay,
but to be clear, right now you don't have other evidence for it, right? The only things you have are the Gospels.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. Now we can move on to the Gospels because now you're trying to say they are reliable.
Yes.
What's the evidence for that?
That they're reliable?
Yeah.
I think there's a great host of evidence. Are you just asking for general evidence?
give me like the strongest point of evidence or something, or I could explain. I mean, I already sort of explained why I don't take them to be reliable, but
right. So here's a really good form of evidence that I think applies better than any specific example. So in the Gospels are ancient Greco-Roman ancient biographies. That's the genre. They are about the life of someone. In Greco-Roman biographies, you have many ways that it could be influenced negatively, or that you could have. There are many ways where a biography could be unreliable or would be unreliable. And here's the example of that. If the biography was written during the life of the individual, there is great evidence that the person still alive would heavily influence that writing, especially if they're a person in power. So that is why during the life of someone of a document being written, you often find unreliable claims, and it's often to amplify or exemplify the person being written about. On the contrary, you have biographies being written from individuals who use sources that are just hearsay or are whatever available written sources that they have available. So let's say if it was 100 years after the life of the person, you don't have any living eyewitnesses anymore. All you're relying on is oral tradition, hearsay, and or written sources. The Gospels land perfectly right in the middle, and this is the scholarly consensus. That they are written between 50 to 70, 80 years after the life of Jesus. And this is called the eyewitness period, where there would still be people alive who would be able to verify or testify to the event said, but it is after the life of the person so that they could not interfere with it. And some of our best biographies are within this time frame. And the Gospels, all four of them, fit perfectly right in this time frame. So that's one evidence that these are reliable documents.
Okay, so the evidence is that they were written in a certain time frame after the events they purport to talk about, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I don't take that. I don't see how that's more expected under the hypothesis that the Gospels are true than they're false. So I wouldn't take that to be evidence, but
of course it's evidence. Of course it is. Or at least sorry, I see what you're saying. At least it points to them being more reliable. It points to them having a greater possibility of them being reliable than to those written in the life of the person or written well after the life of the person. But that gives us a general understanding of okay, well, two common ways that biographies are corrupted or unreliable. The Gospels don't have that problem. And these were the two main ways. Bad sources, because it's just hearsay, or written sources, which weren't all that available, or the person was still alive, and often they influenced the work. If you want me to give like an exact, I would go to Luke chapter 3, verse 1, I believe it is. Now in the 15th, Now in the 15th year of the reign of Tiberius, when Pontius Pilate was governor of Judea, and Herod was tetrarch of Galilee, and his brother Philip was tetrarch of the region of Iturea and Trachonitis, and Licinius was tetrarch of Albany. And then you have, I don't know what he says in verse 2. In the priesthood of Ananias and Caiaphas, the word of God came to John, the son of Zechariah, in the wilderness. And we see here, so Luke is naming several different figures during the reign, so we can pinpoint. And not only that, but the high priesthood, I believe, was changed over once a year. That might not be true, though. That might not be true, actually. Never mind. So ignore that. But we have Luke giving several people and places of rule, so we can pinpoint when this said event happened, when John came in the wilderness, from the wilderness, preaching repentance. And we find Luke to be accurate here, that he doesn't say someone was reigning during the time of someone else and they weren't. This is incredibly detailed, and
surely you agree that that's really weak evidence, though, right? Like, I mean, okay, assume that I have some book and you're like skeptical of the stuff that's the book is saying, right? And yes. I'm like, well, the book also makes this one claim at least that is true, and that happens to be true. So what? Like, okay,
well, I think it depends.
But it doesn't even relate to the rest of the contentious claims the book is making.
I think it does. It tells us the time period. So Luke is claiming that this historically happened. If someone was to, right, just because, and I'm not making the argument because one claim seems to be reliable, they're all reliable. But there are certain claims that have credence over others. If someone came writing today and said, in the year 1854, this person did this and this, well, we would look and say, okay, is there any reason to believe this? Yes or no? So
okay,
I see what you're saying.
I don't know if this is going anywhere because this is like really weak evidence to me. It seems like you think it's strong evidence or something, but whatever. So we can just move to a different sort of. So this is sort of like the crux of why I don't take them to be reliable is because they make like claims that would be like physically impossible or would be like violating some law of physics, such as like the feeding the 5,000, walking on water, stuff like that. I might just ask you to provide some sort of evidence that those claims are true.
Oh, sure. There's one of my favorite scholar. He is well renowned not because of his views. I disagree with him often theologically, but because of his detail. He wrote a commentary on the Book of Acts, and I think he has 10,000 first-hand or second-hand sources, meaning he has 10,000 ancient documents that he sources from. So anyway, his name is Craig Keener, and he's written a two-part volume work on miracles. And I can send you that if you want, but there's great amounts of evidence, and it's not just him. There are dozens, hundreds of scholars that give evidence for miracles. Give evidence for the same types of miracles that you have in the New Testament that are
what kind of evidence?
Affidavits from doctors, so scientific miracles.
But you understand that the problem with all miracles is going to be basically the same, which is like my priors on a miraculous event occurring are like so low that almost any sort of evidence that the miracle occurred is just not going to outweigh that. Like,
oh, that's not my fault then. That would be your presuppositions that you're bringing that I would say are false. If you're going to discount what seems to be evidence just because of your priors.
Wait, I wouldn't say it seems to be. I mean, I'm not convinced that it actually is evidence of anything. That you've presented evidence of anything, but
a doctor's affidavit, if that's not evidence, I don't know what it is.
Well, I'm not sure that's more expected under the hypothesis that the miracle occurred than it didn't occur. Like, it could just be that the doctor's trying to get attention or whatever, stuff like that would make it expected under both hypotheses.
There was one example where 4 doctors, I forget the exact disease, but it was a disease where she was paralyzed. And one day, I think through prayer, he stood up and started walking. And 4 doctors, after signing the affidavit, said, "We can't explain this." So that would be scientific evidence for a miracle.
Again, this is going to have the same problem all the miracle stuff has. But also, I wouldn't grant that actually happened. I haven't seen the sort of case that you're talking about. But imagine, like, to understand what I'm saying, imagine like there's some show where a magician is performing, and the claim is made that the magician levitates off the ground, and you're like, well. And your friend and like a bunch of your other friends are like, yeah, we were there, we saw it, like they're eyewitnesses or whatever. But presumably you're not going to just accept that they actually did levitate, right?
Depending on what happened, it depends on what you mean by levitate. Although, like, with further investigation, if we see there was like a string tied to him or something, I think that's really good evidence where that's a conclusive case he didn't perform a miracle.
Yeah, but that's not responding, because the hypothetical doesn't include you having any sort of other evidence that he didn't actually levitate or stuff like that.
But we do, though. So it's not a good comparison. So it's not a good comparison.
But I'm asking you a hypothetical. So for you to say, well, actually this hypothetical happened and there was other evidence, that doesn't make much sense. I'm just asking. Say that this hypothetical did happen.
I would be open to it.
Other evidence.
I would be open.
You would be open to it,
just based off of someone. I mean, so if someone saw something and his friend said that he levitated, do I know this guy? Like that stuff matters. If someone walked up to me on the street and said, "I saw a guy float,"
you would just be like, "Oh, maybe that happened."
No, I think a big part of me would be like, "Why is a random stranger coming up to me?" I think that's reason enough to not believe what he's saying.
Well, it doesn't have to be a random stranger. Let's say it's just one of your friends, and they're like, "Oh yeah, this person levitated." You'd be like, "Maybe this happened."
I would give it a small possibility.
Why a small possibility though?
Because it's just one person telling me this, and it's just
but that's evidence. It's evidence though. So why don't you believe it happened?
Because that's not conclusive evidence.
Yeah, but surely it would weigh you. Surely it would weigh you over believing it didn't happen, right? Because you have evidence it did happen. You have no evidence it didn't happen.
No, because I believe that we have conclusive evidence that these sort of things have happened in the past. So because my friend told me this, I would be open to the possibility. It's again.
Yeah, but why wouldn't you believe it actually did happen?
Because
why would you just say?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you just say like there's a small chance, or why wouldn't you say it did happen?
Because I don't think that one person, my friend, because the example you gave was that someone saw it and then his friend came and told me.
No, your friend saw it.
Oh, okay.
Or so they claim.
I would be curious. I would be open, but so why wouldn't that be enough? Because if only one person saw it, I would have to ask more questions to be able to be more open. Honestly, just based off of that claim alone, it wouldn't push me over.
Wait, but why? But why? It's evidence that it happened. Are you saying like your priors are low on miraculous events occurring or something?
I would say that yes. Well, that's exactly what a miracle is. They don't occur often.
Okay, yeah. Okay, sure. So exactly, that's my point. So you responding to that by saying, well, those are just your priors. You have the same sort of priors.
Yes, but I'm open to it because it's evidence. You are saying I discount the evidence because of my priors.
No, I didn't say that.
My priors, I think, are reasonable.
Wait, that's just wrong. I never said that.
You did. You said
Monkeyboy, did you hear me say I discard the evidence because it goes against my priors?
Still saying his evidence is just weak given his priors, and that would raise his credence or shift his credence so much as it wouldn't be strong.
Right. No, but that's my point. He said that because of his priors, even if he was given these sort of examples, it wouldn't change his view. Because miracles don't happen.
But it wouldn't change your view either. You wouldn't think somebody levitated before your friend said it happened, and you wouldn't think after they said it happened that
because I'm not presenting that evidence. So that's why I said it's a bad example. And then he said, no, just answer my example. And I said, okay, I'll go along with it, but it's totally irrelevant.
Wait, how is that responding to what I said, which is just that you have the same sort of thing going on, where the evidence doesn't sway you either. It just slightly raises your credence.
Because the evidence you gave is not convincing evidence, is not good evidence. One person claiming something, I don't think is good enough evidence in and of itself. So that's why I said it's a bad example.
That's what I'm saying the same. I'm saying the same thing. I'm saying it's not a good enough piece of evidence by itself. Whatever evidence you would give me that a miracle occurred.
Yeah, my examples aren't your friend walking up to you and saying, I saw a magician levitate.
Yeah, they're even worse. They're like 3,000 years ago, the same thing happening, except it's like
fallacy.
5 people.
That's a fallacy. Just because something happened in the past doesn't make it less true.
What do you mean by fallacy there?
It's fallacious reasoning. It's.
What do you mean by that?
What do I mean by fallacious reasoning? Reasoning that is not sound.
What do you mean by sound?
Do I have to define every word I use for you?
Yes, please. Yes,
okay.
Please define
what does sound mean?
Yeah. Are you asking me?
No. Let me. I'm not sure I'm able to define.
Wait, so you just said something. You said something that you didn't even know what it means?
I know what sound means, although I'm not sure I'm able to give a complete definition.
Okay, well, just explain what you were trying to say then. Don't look it up and spit out the Google definition.
Well, that's what I would concede to. That's how I used sound. A sound to be sound is to be...
Okay, if it matches what you said, then yeah, go ahead, read it out.
Okay.
What is it?
I'm not referring to noise. It might take me a minute to find.
Valid and true.
Sure. Valid, is that a good synonym?
But he never... No,
that's not a... Wait.
Oh, no,
well, that's not a synonym, first of all.
Vibration... Well, it is, according to Oxford Dictionary.
Yeah, but I'm using it in the classical logic sense, and they're not synonyms. They're actually, like, very different.
Not according to Oxford Dictionary.
Oxford Dictionary is in classical logic.
Okay, I'm not really sure what you're saying by classical logic.
Yeah,
okay,
so
but anyway, just go ahead and...
is going to define spin is different from the sense Oxford's going to define spin. Right? It's particularly nomenclature for the field. So it's a term that the field has its own appropriated definition in a particular sense that isn't colloquial. So it's not going to be dictionary definitions. It's going to be in the definition of that particular field of study.
So you're saying the Oxford Dictionary has a specific field of study by which they define their words?
No, the opposite. That's logic. Logic
Look, he's saying there's a sense of the words used in logic, and there's a sense of the words commonly used. Oxford Dictionary isn't going to use the logic sense.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I'm not sure where I would find that definition then, unless I just type in logic. And we'll see if the way that...
Okay, but...
Because you asked like 4 different words that I used, a string of 4 different words. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, because you made a claim, and under the understanding I have of the terms you were making, it was a very silly claim. So I was trying to figure out if you were meaning something else.
What was silly?
Yeah, so, I mean, I would take fallaciousness to be a property of an argument. I didn't make an argument, so to say something I said was fallacious doesn't make any sense.
You don't think there can be... You don't think statements can be fallacious?
It depends. Is the statement affirming that an argument is valid?
Yes.
Okay, then yeah, you could say that's fallacious because it's affirming a fallacious argument, sure.
Well, that's what you were doing.
How was I doing that? What argument was I affirming?
Right, this goes back to your example of creating a false dichotomy, a false comparison between the evidence you gave and what I'm presenting.
Wait, but what was the argument that I made, that I affirmed, that was invalid or whatever, or fallacious?
Your friend walking up to you after seeing a magician levitate. That was the example you gave.
That's not an argument, that's just a situation.
I understand that. That's not what I said was fallacious. Your reasoning...
Wait, then you didn't answer my question then.
What was your question?
The question was, what was the argument I affirmed that you're saying was fallacious?
Oh, okay. I'll get there. So you gave that example, and then you said, well, in the same way that you... I don't quite exactly remember your words, but I can try and recall the concept, that your same standard that you're trying to call me out as a double standard based off of my presuppositions, you use the same thing with my example. So therefore, you're being a hypocrite.
Wait, no, that's not... Well, I didn't say that. So
you didn't say that, but
that's not going to be an answer because I didn't even say that, but I can just clarify what I did say.
That's why I said
what I did say was,
not word for word.
That you have the same sort of thing going on where your priors are low on certain things, so then when you see weak evidence that that thing happened, you're still not convinced it did happen.
Right?
I'm saying that also applies to you.
We all have priors. I'm not negating that, but I'm saying your priors are unreasonable.
What do you mean by unreasonable?
What word can I use that you won't ask a definition for? Any? Because now I have to find what unreasonable means in logic.
Probably words that make sense in the context that you're saying them in. To me, based on my understanding.
This is why it's really hard to argue with agnostics and atheists. I don't know. It's maybe just a common theme.
Maybe it's just because you say things and you don't even have any idea what you're trying to say. So then when I ask you what you mean, you're like, well, let me go look up on Google what I was trying to say. Like,
yes,
no,
a dictionary
just
definition.
Don't say it then if you have no idea what you're trying to say.
I know what it means, but as I already corrected you, I'm not sure I'm able to completely define a word. I'm being honest, and I'm saying that.
Okay,
is that
cool.
A problem? Okay, cool.
It is a problem if you can't convey the concept to me, because then I have no idea what you're saying.
I didn't say that. I said I'm looking up to a dictionary because I'm not sure I can completely or properly, fully define a word.
I didn't ask for you to completely or properly.
Yes, you did.
I just asked what you meant. I just asked what you meant by it.
Sound. So what do I mean by soundness? I thought you. Okay.
No, wait. It was what you meant by unreasonable, because you said my priors were unreasonable.
That which is not reason. And what is reason? That which is not or cannot be deduced by reality.
Deduced by reality?
From reality, maybe?
Wait, so you're saying something is unreasonable if it can't be like deductively inferred from true propositions or something?
I would say so.
Okay, well then that just doesn't make any sense, because priors aren't propositions. So to say they can't be inferred is just true, but it's not like meaningful.
What?
You said my priors are unreasonable. If you substitute in the definition you gave, that means you're saying they can't be inferred from true propositions or something.
Okay, then maybe unreasonable was the wrong word.
Okay, what did you mean then?
So your priors, you discount, and by the way, I'm just having to concede on this because I have not studied philosophy, so I'm not able to catch what I think aren't. I'm not able to catch some things that you're saying that I think are mistaken.
Wait, what?
So I'm just having to concede. I'm not going to share.
I just want to hear what you think. I said that was mistaken, because I can explain it. I can explain.
No, because I'm not able to push back because I'm not.
Okay, that's fine. You don't have to. I'll just say.
I'm not interested.
It's fine if you can't push back, but I just want to hear what you said. Okay, so you're just going to say you're going to poison the well. You're going to poison the well by saying I said something that you think is a mistake, but you're not even going to explain what it is.
Yes, because I said that I'm not educated in philosophy. That's why I said that.
Then why do you think it's a mistake?
Well, maybe it isn't, but currently I do. But I'm not. I don't need to share it.
Okay,
I just
fine,
said that.
whatever. You can just poison.
So anyway,
okay, move on.
Okay, move on. Great. I'm trying. So your priors are that miracles cannot happen. I give you evidence for miracles happening, and you say, well, even if that is evidence, I'm still not going to believe it because of my priors. And you're saying, well, you do the same thing. And I'm saying, no, I don't. Because your example was not a good correlation with the evidence I'm presenting. It's a horrible correlation. It's a horrible comparison.
Wait, that doesn't respond to the example, because do you grant that your friend saying the levitation happened, that's evidence? Do you agree that's evidence?
It's weak evidence, but yes, I think it's evidence, yeah.
Okay, sure. And you agree you don't believe in that case that the magician actually levitated?
Yes, because it's
Fisher.
If I ask for... And you agree that part of the reason why you don't believe that is because you have low sort of belief pre-evidence that sort of thing happened, right?
No.
Like before you hear your friend say that he witnessed the levitation, you already are like pretty confident that sort of stuff didn't happen.
Well, it's just that's what a miracle means. So miracle is something that is not common.
So you're not confident it didn't happen before you get any evidence for it? Like before your friend even walks up to you, you think
it didn't happen?
Yeah.
So I'm confident it happened before my friend walks up to me? No, because miracles don't generally happen. They're uncommon.
Yeah, so you would have low... I'll just rephrase it. So before your friend walks up to you, you have low priors that miracles happen, right?
Well, that's what a miracle is, so yes. They don't happen often. So yes, I would believe that they don't happen often.
The thing you said that I said that was false isn't false, because all of the things that I said were true are true.
Like miracles not happening, despite evidence? Even though saying because my priors, even though it's evidence, I don't believe it?
Just that in the case of the example, you're presented with evidence, you have low priors on the event taking place, and then afterwards you don't believe it did take place.
Yes, and I'm not willing to discount the evidence, whereas you are.
What is that responding to? Well, first of all, I'm not. I never said that, but...
You did. You said regardless of the evidence, that wouldn't change my position on miracles because they don't happen.
It wouldn't change your position either. It wouldn't change your position either. You don't think the miracle happened.
I think it would push me towards it is evidence. I'm the one who's saying before the conversation, my presuppositions are that miracles don't often happen. If my friend walked up to me and he was very serious, or I would have to see his body language, and if I knew him well, I'd be able to tell sometimes maybe when he's lying. If he was serious and he said, I saw this guy levitate, and let's say it wasn't even a magician, because based off of that, we could say,
we're getting off track here. So back to the example. But you agree all of the elements that I said were there in the example are there, right? After you see the evidence, you don't believe the miracle actually took place.
No, but I think it would push me in that direction more. I would consider the evidence.
And by pushing you in the direction more, you just mean you'd have a higher credence?
Yeah, I would be more open to it, yes.
Okay, yeah, and that applies to me as well, right? Because if I never said I would discount the evidence, I just said that it wouldn't bring me all over to the side. Wait, no, he didn't. He said exactly what I'm saying.
No, he didn't.
What do you mean?
Earlier, Kissinger, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, said, because of I'll use your word, priors, even if there's evidence for miracles, I still wouldn't believe them because of my priors, that miracles don't happen. That's what you said. So I'm saying...
Wait, that's also true. What is that? That's not even interacting with what I said.
I'm just repeating what you said. I'm not interacting with what you said. That's the whole point I brought that up.
I thought you were trying to say he disagreed with me.
I said he agreed with me. You're the one who's saying you're not just...
And presumably you're disagreeing with me too, right?
Yes, because you're the one who's saying I did not say I disregard evidence based on my priors. But now you're saying...
What is the thing that he disagrees with me on?
You asked your friend, did I ever say, and I'm not... Look, you said I disregard miracles happening because of my priors. If you don't think you said that, well, we can move on.
Wait, what do you mean? What do you think I meant there? Because first of all, I didn't say that in those exact words. But what do you mean when you say disregard?
The concept. Because I know you didn't use the word disregard. I don't remember the word. But what do I think you mean by that? I think that even if I present a case that has really strong evidence for a miracle happening and occurring, you would still say, well, that's fine. I think it's good evidence, but I'm not going to believe it because miracles don't happen.
Well, that would kind of be a stupid way to, like, because miracles don't happen. I wouldn't say that. But the rest of what you said is correct. The rest of what you said is correct, though.
I thought that's what you said, though. That's why I was pushing back.
No, because then that would just be saying P, therefore P. Miracles don't happen, therefore miracles don't happen.
Exactly. That was my whole point.
That wasn't your whole point. You just went on, like, a massive monologue about double standards and stuff.
Yes, that is a double standard. P, therefore P. It's circular reasoning.
Wait, so you take the view that circular reasoning is a double standard?
No, but you can apply double standards when using circular reasoning. That was my point. That you saying miracles don't, that it's good evidence, but I don't think miracles happen, therefore they don't happen. That's what I
never said that. I don't know why. I don't know why you keep saying that.
That's what I heard.
He didn't say that.
No, because I know that's not what you heard, because you correctly reproduced what I said numerous times before that. You said the correct thing, which was that I don't believe because my priors are low.
No, you didn't say that they were low. You said that your priors led you to believe that they don't happen, regardless of evidence. That's the circular reasoning.
That's the same thing. Saying my priors are low on that happening is the same as saying my priors lead me to believe they don't happen.
They are non-existent to that happening, as opposed to low. Mine are low.
Wait, non-existent. What do you think you say? What do you think you mean there when you say they're non-existent?
That your priors lead you to believe that miracles are non-existent, whereas my priors lead me to believe that they are low.
Wait, your priors lead you to believe what is low?
It's low in possibility or low in frequency.
Wait, but we're talking about. Okay, I think you're a little confused. When I say the priors, I'm talking about my prior belief credence in the event happening, right? So in this specific miracle happening, and I'm saying before I see any evidence, my priors are low because I have seen a ton of inductive evidence that says the laws of physics, whatever else, those are like normally true, right? They hold true. So I'm saying that's why my priors are low.
But I don't think that they're low. I just think that they would always lead you to the same conclusion that they don't happen because of your priors. Whereas my priors, I'm saying, okay,
are you saying
know that
something
a
like
miracle
my
doesn't
priors
happen
are
often,
zero?
so it's probably uncommon.
I don't know why you're trying to do this like mind reading thing. You're saying like my priors are zero. I don't think that's true. Like, I mean, you could say like
that's the conclusion.
I would have moderate priors and some sort of like new law of physics being discovered or something like that. You might call that miraculous. I don't know. Like you could say
that's a miracle. Discovering new laws of physics. No. That's not
okay, sure. Well, it fits my definition or my understanding, but
what's your understanding of what a miracle is?
It would just be like something that isn't in accord with how we currently understand physics to work.
Really? So there have been, then miracles do happen according to that definition, even in your worldview.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, I thought you just said because of my priors, I wouldn't believe in miracles. So
that's
now
right.
You do,
so,
and now you don't.
Yeah,
I don't know what I'm talking to.
No,
You're saying the opposite.
You're confused. So what I was saying is,
I hope so.
I have low priors on any individual miracle occurring.
Well, you just believe that they happen all the time, or at least they happen frequently enough in the last 100 years.
So what is that responding to?
Because originally you said, despite good evidence, because of my priors, I wouldn't believe in miracles. But you already do.
Wait, no,
That's how that responds. Now you're
I said I wouldn't believe in specific miracles, right? I wouldn't believe that this person levitated. I wouldn't believe. I never said like it's impossible for miracles to occur or something.
I didn't say that you said that either. You didn't say specific miracles. You said miracles in general. Now you're changing based off of your definition of miracles.
Okay, whatever. Just say I was wrong.
Now, okay, whatever.
Now I'm clarifying. Right. I'm clarifying, sure, that I was talking about a specific miracle.
Okay, so that helps. So, right, because I believe, and you do too, that miracles happen. Although maybe I wouldn't quite use your definition, because I think things can happen that we can't explain, or maybe that we'll never be able to explain. But I still think it's well, I guess that still would fit your definition. What was your definition again?
Yeah, it was something that we don't currently believe to be in line with the laws of physics or something.
Okay. Yeah.
Or that we believe not to be in line with the laws of physics. And I could sort of explain the motivation for that. Like maybe you say, well, the sort of thing I'm talking about where somebody like breaks the law of gravity for a second, but then after that we rediscovered that gravity is like actually does work like that, and it has worked like that forever, like the way that we normally think of it working, but it's just in this one case that it was violated. Like then it's kind of weird to like define whether the law is like at all times, or it doesn't apply at specific times. So I would just get around that by saying it's something that's not in line with our current understanding.
Let me look up what Oxford says a miracle is. Just out of curiosity. A surprising and welcome event that is not explicable, by natural or scientific laws, and is therefore considered to be a work of a divine agency. Oh, okay.
Under that definition, yeah, I don't think miracles exist.
Right. I don't know the sub-definitions that they have, if they are based off of the first definition, but there's a highly improbable or extraordinary event. But that seems really vague. Because
maybe we can get, because we're on like a massive derail right now, maybe we could get back to the original sort of topic, which was whether the example that I gave fits all the stuff I said fits, right? So I said that it's not the case that you have the belief that the magician levitated afterwards. You agree with that. You also agree that you have low priors on the magician levitating beforehand.
Yep.
You also agree that your friend telling you that it happened is evidence.
Yep.
So I just don't know why. I don't know why you're saying that I said something false, or that the example doesn't show what I said it says. What did I concede I was wrong on?
I thought we had moved past that, and I think we should.
Wait, what do you think I conceded I was wrong on?
Okay, forget I said that, because I don't want to go over this whole thing. This is how this last rabbit hole started, by me 7 times trying to explain what I thought you said, and then you saying no, and then what I thought you said yes at the same thing. So, there's clearly confusion. Let's go back to your example of your friend. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get back to. So what part of what I said isn't true about the example?
Nothing's not true about it. Other than that, it hasn't happened to me. This is just a hypothetical. But other than that,
yeah. But so then you agree all the stuff I said was true. Like it is an example of your priors being low, so therefore you don't believe the miracle occurred, even though you're presented evidence that it did occur.
But the difference is that I am more willing to believe it based off of that claim.
What do you mean? You just have a higher degree of belief afterwards than you think I would? Is that what you're saying?
I think that would be a change at all in my belief compared to you.
Wait, but I would also have a change in my belief.
You would?
Yeah, it would just be small.
You would be more open to...
It'd be from like 0.1% confidence that it happened to like 0.2% or something.
Okay, because that's not what I heard earlier, but I don't want to go back to what I heard earlier.
Yeah, I know. I know you keep saying that, so let's just pretend that I did actually say that the whole time.
Okay, all right.
Then you agree I don't have any sort of double standard, and the same thing that I'm doing applies to you, right?
Yes, I would agree that, yes, I would have no problem if you'd be more open to that based off of evidence. Yes.
I mean, that is, okay, that's kind of like the definition of evidence, by the way, but...
Well, not necessarily, because you can have counter evidence.
Wait, I'm saying it is my definition of evidence, something that raises the probability of something else, right? So you have some data that's explained better by one hypothesis than another, so it raises your degree of belief in the first hypothesis.
But hold on, so if you have counter evidence that's stronger, would the original evidence still be a higher probability than the counter evidence? I'm not sure how you're using your definition here.
Yeah, no, it's ceteris paribus, right? So if you hold everything else equal in the situation where the evidence is there, you have higher credence in the hypothesis being true than if it isn't there.
Sure. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I have no problem with that. If you'd be more open to... So if I was... And like in this case, I would love to examine... I mean, already I can just think, okay, well, it's a magician, so they're known to do tricks. What the motivation behind the magician is to make the crowd go, I saw this guy levitate, or something. So that's something to consider. I think also, if just my friend said it to me, like if I looked into this, maybe if I knew someone else that was going and I asked them, or I was able to find someone else that also went and they said that this didn't happen, or that they saw a string attached, if we had conflicting, like I would just have to look into this claim. And so just based off of the claim, I think it's weak evidence. So if we get better evidence, I think that should substantially raise our open-mindedness to something happening, like a miracle.
Yeah, but it's still, I'm just trying to point out that it's still, even if there's strong evidence, it still might not raise your belief over 0.5. Like you still might just say, well, I'm not convinced because of all these other reasons, right?
Yep, and people do that.
Yeah, so I'm saying that's, so back to the original point I was making with the miracle case. Mm-hmm. That's kind of my problem with all the miracle claims.
Okay.
Is that I have low priors on them, and even if you could provide evidence, which I'm not convinced people have, then it would still just not raise my degree of belief enough to believe the miracle occurred.
All right, then fair enough. I would just say that, okay, I can present evidence of miracles. Then I would just say that I'm going to disregard your reason for the Bible being unreliable because it makes these claims when your priors lead you to only believe in claims to such a low extent.
Okay,
so I would just disregard. I just say that that's not a good reason to believe that the Bible is unreliable, and you can disagree with that if you want, obviously.
And by a good reason, you just mean it's not how you would make the evaluation?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool. So then we agree that under my evaluation, the Gospels are unreliable evidence. We agree that you haven't provided other evidence, and actually we also agree that you don't have other evidence.
I have tons of evidence, but whether you consider it, well, you're going to consider it evidence, but you aren't going to consider it strong evidence.
No, but you agreed you don't have independent evidence, right? Because I asked whether
genealogy?
You did. Before we derailed and moved back to the Gospels thing, I said, do you have evidence that's not in the Gospels, right? Do you have
no.
Do you have independent evidence? And you said no.
No, of course not.
So, so that's what I'm making clear. I'm saying, under my view, the Gospels are unreliable, and also it's not the case that you have independent evidence to confirm.
So let me ask you some questions now. How does that sound?
Yeah, go ahead. Sure.
Do you believe the Battle of Thermopylae happened?
I don't know anything about that.
Would you mind giving it a quick Google search?
So I don't believe it did happen, but I'm agnostic. But yeah, sure, I'll look it up.
Okay. I do have to go within the next maybe 20 minutes or so, but I got a few minutes still.
Okay, yeah, sure. So it seems like it did happen. I don't know much about it, but just go on with whatever line of reasoning you're going to.
Okay. Why would you say that it seems it did happen?
Yeah, because it seems like there's a bunch of sources on Wikipedia about it. It seems like it's generally accepted by historians that it occurred, stuff like that. Historical consensus is there. That's a strong piece of evidence that it happened. Doesn't seem like there's any violations of the laws of physics or anything like that. So my priors on it are like 0.5, probably, something around there.
0.5? Wait, 0.5% out of 100?
No, 0.5 out of 1.
Oh, half. Okay. How do we know that this battle happened? Do you know?
No, I have no idea.
Okay. It's from two guys. Two sources.
Okay.
And one of them is not an eyewitness. So for you to say that Matthew and Luke are unreliable, and these guys did believe in the supernatural. These same guys who recorded that the gods were involved in some way. This is what they
which was it? Was it Herodotus or who were
yeah, Herodotus, and there's the second guy. I can try and find him.
Okay, but I mean, okay, but the Battle of Thermopylae doesn't include any sort of like miraculous events, right? Or am I wrong about that? Maybe it does.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, yeah. So then, yeah, that's just consistent in both cases, because in one case, my priors are low because it's sort of a miraculous thing that we're talking about, right? We're talking about miracles happening in the Gospels. The other case, it's not a miraculous event, right? It's just an ordinary sort of battle that we know a lot of those have happened.
So let me understand. Any historical document that even so as mentions something that you would deem as supernatural, like the gods being involved, we should consider the whole document unreliable.
Nope, that's wrong. I have no idea where you got that from.
That's exactly what you're doing with the Gospels. That's where I got that from.
It's not what I'm doing from the Gospels. What I'm doing from the Gospels is saying that they include a bunch of unreliable things that I believe to be false because they're in violation of the laws of physics.
Yes.
There's a bunch of those consistently over the entire text, right?
Yes. And
so therefore,
how does that respond to what I said?
My priors that other stuff that the Gospels say happened is low.
That's
in addition to the fact that the other stuff that it says happened are also miraculous, right?
And That doesn't reply to. You said that's a mischaracterization of what you said, but it's
Yeah,
not.
it is, because what you said was, I look and I see one thing that I deem to be supernatural and I disregard the whole text, right? That's not what I said. It's persistent inaccuracies. And in fact, there's very little things that I believe are true besides just obvious accepted historical facts there.
Oh, so there are many ancient So I would have to think of one off the top of my head, and I can get back to you. This is where I want to read more on ancient sources and just ancient, like, Greco-Roman documents in general. I think they're fascinating.
But you agree that was a mischaracterization when you said that I look at one thing that I deem to be supernatural and I disregard the whole document, right?
Well, yes. Now that I know that, yes. But I want to know.
Okay, and also you agreed. Also, you agree that the Battle of Thermopylae doesn't include some sort of miracle, right?
Yes, I never said it did.
Okay, sure. So then I don't see why you're trying to bring this up as some sort of like, oh, you're inconsistent. Here you believe it happened. Here you believe this miracle in the Gospels didn't happen. Like,
well, I'm trying to figure out your position. So what? So one supernatural claim would not make a document unreliable. How many would?
Are you just doing like the sand pile thing? Like, when does one grain become a pile of sand or something? Like, I don't know what. I don't know. It's just like it's a spectrum, right? You could say, well, I have one unreliable claim. My confidence in the document is lowered. I have multiple. For every additional unreliable claim that it makes, my confidence gets lowered even more. Like, I don't know. I don't even know what you're really asking me right now.
Don't try to jump to what I'm trying to ask you. Just answer my question. That would be a great start. We have ancient documents.
I just did answer your question.
Well, I'm going to explain so you can explain your position. So we can try to understand what you really believe in. In ancient documents, we have historical inaccuracies riddled throughout the documents, and these are based off of non-supernatural events, regardless of supernatural events. Plus, they also account for supernatural events. So you shouldn't, based off of your own standard, you shouldn't believe what many historians, I would say maybe even most historians report what happened. Because they had influence, they had influences by the emperors, by those like the generals, those in authority. They had very bad sources that we see are now totally wrong. So based off of all of this, you should be totally agnostic on most of ancient history. Based off of your standard.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it depends. Wow. It depends what sort of historical stuff you're talking about, but
like Tacitus,
in a lot of cases where only one or a few texts report something, I mean, I'm going to go with the historical consensus in most cases, but if you asked me, I would probably say, like, I don't have like super high confidence that this did happen. I'd say maybe like 0.55 or something like that. But the point is, even in those cases, there's still not an asymmetry, because in one case, the events the documents are claiming took place are miraculous, right? And in one case, they're just ordinary historical events.
You have both.
That would explain why my priors are higher in one case and lower in the other case.
Incorrect, because you have...
Wait, just listen. I can explain. I think you're getting confused here. So, if there was a historical document besides the Bible or whatever, which there are, that said there was a miraculous event that took place, my priors on that would also be low, right? I don't know.
Really?
Of course.
So
of course I'm going to be skeptical of any miraculous claims like that.
Really? So when an historian accounts a battle, let's say, or a person's life, and in the document they list the worship or the cause for the battle, or the reason that the battle was run by a certain side was because of certain gods and certain...
Wait, just pause there. You don't think I would be skeptical of that? You think I'd say, like, yeah, that's probably true?
No, because I'm trying to find... You are saying the Bible is unreliable because it makes supernatural claims. So now you have to say that a lot of ancient history is unreliable because they make supernatural claims. And you admitted yourself, not me, that you have to be agnostic on a lot of history, ancient history, because you have these supernatural claims riddled throughout. You said yes. So if you're going to backtrack, that's fine.
No, I was saying yes, like, yeah, just let me, like, respond. I wasn't saying, like, yes, I am agnostic on...
I asked you a question and you said yes, so, okay.
Okay, yeah,
I didn't mean to say yes, no problem.
So, yeah, but clarification, I didn't mean I am agnostic on most of ancient history, but...
Okay, well, then I'm trying to find your standard, because these same documents that record an event that the scholarly consensus would agree on, based off of what you can't explain.
Do you remember what I did say, though? Because I actually gave you, like, an example of a number of, like, how confident I might be in certain historical events that are only reported by, like, a few people.
If it doesn't violate the laws of science or nature?
Yeah. It was like 0.55, so...
Okay, but here's what you're getting mistaken. The Gospels, Acts, make dozens of claims about historical events that aren't supernatural, yet you didn't say that. So maybe this is where you've just misspoken. When you said the Bible is unreliable, I'm going to tell you.
What's the relevance of that?
I'm going to show you. You said the Bible is unreliable. Not the Bible is unreliable in the points that it makes supernatural claims. You didn't say that. You said the Bible. You're actually poisoning the well. You're throwing out the baby with the bathwater. Because of these supernatural claims, I cannot believe the whole document, or at least the whole document is unreliable. But if you were to have the same standard for other ancient documents, you would have to throw out a lot of history, and you would have to be totally agnostic.
I do have the same standard, though.
Right, so you'd have to be totally agnostic. You'd have to be totally agnostic, and what is taught in post-secondary education, what historians teach dogmatically to this day, you'd have to say, I can't agree with that. I'm not sure.
How does it follow that I would have to be completely agnostic?
Because the same historians that are writing in the time of the Gospels record that such and such event happened because of the gods, and it's riddled throughout their documents, so therefore their document is unreliable. They often mention supernatural events. You said the same thing for the Bible.
Up a bunch of different things I'm saying. I think you're a little confused. So
I'm not confused. This is what you said. You said the Bible was unreliable.
So
no, these are your words.
Just calm down. So I can explain what I'm saying. And I've been consistent the whole time in what I'm saying. So when I say the Bible is unreliable, what I mean is it makes numerous claims that I consider to be false. So when it makes a claim and I'm not sure about whether it's true or false, the Bible saying it's true is going to provide weak evidence in favor of it being true, right?
That's what you said.
I think it to be an unreliable document.
Why is it unreliable?
And so in the case of miracles that
why do you think
the
it's
Bible
unreliable?
says took place, I just explained that, but just let me finish what I'm saying. So in the case of miracles, which I have very low priors on, if the Bible says they took place and that's weak evidence, I'm still going to have a very low credence that they took place.
No problem.
In the case of historical events, I'm not going to have low priors because historical events aren't miraculous, right? So I'm going to say maybe my priors start out at like 0.5 that a historical event occurred. So the Bible saying that the event occurred would provide weak evidence. It might sway me over to 0.55 or something like that.
This is where you're ignorant.
The same sort of reasoning applies to all historical documents. I don't know why you think I have a double standard there.
This is where you are ignorant. You are ignorant in the fact that you would say, well, I would believe the historical event happened. But the person who recorded the historical event also mentioned supernatural events. Supernatural deities.
How's that ignorance? What is that responding? I don't understand what you're even saying right now. Okay. It seems like you didn't even listen to what I was saying.
I did.
Because look,
I heard every word.
If I had another book, like one of these other historical documents or authors you're talking about,
sure,
and it made a claim about a miraculous thing, I would have the same exact sort of reasoning apply. Like, okay, he made one claim that I consider to be false. So now when he makes other claims, it's only going to be weak evidence in favor of those other claims, right?
That's not what historians say.
That's what I'm saying. And then if I have an event that it makes a claim about that's not miraculous, that I have moderate priors on, then the weak evidence might sway me over to believing it did happen, right? There's no inconsistency going on.
That's not how the historical methodology works, though. Right? I mean, they wouldn't.
Wait, yeah, I'm not explaining historical methodology. I'm explaining my own belief and how I evaluate evidence. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but I don't know. Why would a miraculous claim lower the probability? Why would not probability? Why would that lower the kind of the reliability of that source in your eyes?
We've talked about that.
Because it makes one claim that's false. So I don't have high confidence that the rest of the claims it makes are going to be true, right?
It's not necessarily false, though.
What are you saying?
I mean, I don't know if they make a particular claim if this person had a particular experience, right? I mean, however you want to explain that experience, that's up to you, right? But they're not necessarily lying. Or
I don't know what you think you're responding to there, but wait. Okay, so back to Fisher of Men 7.
You were the one who said it, though. You said that the claim was false, so therefore it's probably the other claims are less true. I'll have a lower chance. And he's saying, well, it's not necessarily false. You're just saying it is. But anyway,
of course. Of course, it's not necessarily false. That's just how I evaluate it.
Okay. So it's how you evaluate it to be false, not that it is false. Okay.
Yeah, because what I'm saying is the fact that I evaluate it to be false has an impact on my evaluation of the rest of its claims.
Sure.
So it doesn't matter whether, it's objectively,
Well, I think it should because I strive for objective truth, but
okay, whatever.
If you don't, that's fine. Yep. So yep.
And then I guess objective truth when talking about historical facts is very difficult to verify with a high degree of probability, right? I mean, you can point to facts, right? But a lot of historical accounts are based on the interpretation of those facts.
I agree.
So how you would get an objective view on that, unless you have evidence today that backs up the claims that were made of some kind of previous event, then that would be objectively, you'd be able to objectively verify the historical fact, right? But there are very few cases where this is the case, basically, right? So yeah,
I agree.
And that cool. Also, just to be clear, all I'm saying is like it's not whether it actually is true or false that impacts whether I think a source is reliable. It's whether I think it's true or false. And that's just obvious. That's how everybody evaluates stuff. Like,
yeah, but then what you're saying,
it's not like you go to an oracle and you're like, oh, this is false. Now, like my evaluation of it has changed. It's just your evaluation impacts your evaluation of its other claims.
Yeah, but what you're saying is that the truth to you is highly subjective, right? So then you cannot accept some kind of universally accepted. Well, can you explain to me how it's not? One second, let him explain. So can you explain to me why what I'm saying is not wrong?
I don't even know what you're trying to say, but all I know is I didn't say the thing you said I said.
Okay, let me just repeat what I said. It's quite simple. So what I said is that based on your argument, which from my understanding is that something is either true or false, depending on whether you deem it to be true or false, right?
No, that's wrong. Element. That's wrong. No, okay. I never said that. That's false.
Where did you get that?
Okay, so can you just repeat what you were saying? Like how what I'm trying to understand is how do you decide or what are the criteria
determined whether he believes by his belief?
Prior probability of what?
Of an event, such as a miraculous event.
So
yeah,
just,
and I think you'll agree. I think you'll actually agree with what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I think you'll agree with what I'm saying, which is just like if you read some book, your evaluation of whether the book is like good or accurate or true or whatever is going to be based on your evaluation of the claims it's making. It's not going to be like
what I'm asking. Like, exactly. So what I'm asking you is how do you make that evaluation of the claims? And if you're saying that it's based on your own evaluation, then that evaluation is going to be subjective in nature.
Oh,
you can't claim any objectivity around that. Yeah.
So you're saying where does my evaluation of the miraculous claims come from? Is that what you're like? Why do I have that evaluation?
No, like how would you claim that there is some kind of objectivity in these religious books? Like how would it work if what you're saying is that it depends on your subjective interpretation of the facts?
Wait. You're saying I have to defend the claim that there's some objectivity? I don't even know where you're getting the stuff you're saying. Like, I never said anything about objectivity.
Okay, going back to that last example that you said about the book.
Of evaluation? Like, the way we come to objectivity is given some normative framework.
Or anything like that. I'm just saying that for most people, including me, your evaluation of some text is based on your evaluation of the parts of the text. It's almost
right.
like almost like tautologist. Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, I understand. The only thing I'm saying is that that's going to be different for everyone. That's it.
Well, yeah, that's true too, probably.
Okay.